Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to part 3 of our Jiffy Box, and we're working in Photoshop right now, and one of the first things we're going to do is find some product placement stuff to put in here, probably some pancakes. I like pancakes, so we're going to go search some pancakes, and we'll go to images, and you should find tons of pancakes. There's something I like about this one right off the bat. I'm just grabbing one here, and I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to go back to Photoshop. Now you could try a couple and see how they look, but I'm going to paste this in here, and you can see this one isn't very high in resolution, so I have to scale it up, which isn't always a great thing because it will lose something. But I'll throw this one in here first, and you know, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, and I'll just call it BB Pancakes for now, and then maybe I'll look for another one just so I'm not just using one. There's one I used in the past. Okay, I went in a different direction. I looked up some biscuits. So we'll try biscuits just for something different since we don't have to use pancakes. Here's some biscuits here. They're a little dark. We'll have to fix this up. I'll do copy image and go back to Photoshop, and I'll turn off my biscuit or turn off my pancakes, and I'll paste in my biscuits, and they're huge, which is good because that means it's nice high resolution. So I'll scale it down so it fits in my layout a little better. And I'll make sure it before I hit OK that I scale it to the outside. So I may have to get rid of some of that background that's in there. I may have to crop it a little different. So I'm going to hit return. And then I'm also right off the bat, I can see they almost look like they're in shadow a little bit. So I'm going to go to image adjustments. I'll check out shadows highlights first just to get rid of some of the shadows underneath. I don't have to use a lot. I'll use like 20 and I'll hit OK. And then also I'll go to image adjustments levels. I like to always go to shadows highlights first, and then I'm going to go to levels, and I'm going to kind of lighten up the midtones a little. I probably don't have a whole lot of highlights that I could change, but I could go a little bit, brighten it up just a little bit. And lighten the midtones even a little bit more. And also what I might do is go to filter and go to sharpen unsharp mask. And give it a nice sharpen. I'll put it up nice real high, because remember, people are going to be seeing these from far away, so it doesn't matter if you over sharpen a little bit. So I'll put a lot of nice texture on it. If you ever look at boxes of cereal, they're always enlarged and make the texture really stand out. So I'll hit OK and sharpen that. So you know, I might get rid of some of this. I may even blur it out. So I have a lot of options here that I could do, and I'll call this biscuits. And again, some of the effects I could do on here, I'm not going to go through everything on here, but I may go back and check it in. I may add a layer mask on here and just start, like, just for example, if I was going to use the biscuits, what I could do is go add a layer mask and say reveal all, and that gives me kind of a safe place to kind of get rid of things and then put them back if I don't like them. So I could go to my eraser tool, or actually my paintbrush, and I'll take a nice big paintbrush and make it real super soft, and I'll make it real big, or I'll take this slider up and make it be quicker, even bigger than that. Nice big paintbrush. That way what I can do when I choose this big paintbrush, if I paint with black, and I'll flip this around, so I paint with black on the mask, what happens is you can erase from that. And by doing that, I can kind of erase from some of this with this real soft brush and kind of just fade out the background. You know, I have a little bit of it there, but then I don't have to worry about having I don't want a line or anything. So that's kind of a nice kind of look. That was real easy to do. You know, if I was using the other one, you know, I have more work to do there on the background. Although I could do the same thing on this kind of thing. You know, and I would probably want to warm this up a little bit, or I may want to get rid of the background completely and do something else, because you could put gradients and different things in the background. But I like the biscuits for now, so I'm going to do that. And you know, and they're kind of cropped off the bottom. So one thing I could do is I'm going to go on my bottom layer here and add a new layer right above outline, and I'll just call it gradient. And what I'll do is I'll make a gradient, and I'll click up here. Actually, I'm going to choose one that's a color to transparent. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'll click on here. And it's already going from a color to transparent. I'm going to choose this color here, and I'm going to just sample the blue color. So it's going blue to transparent right now. And you could switch these around. I'm not sure what direction they'll go. I think they start with the blue as I drag it. But I'm going to try that, and I'll hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom and just do, and I'll hold Shift. And let's see. Oh, it's in. I'd almost have to. Let me drag this all the way to the top. Because even though I want it on the bottom, it's got to go in front of. So it's going to look like something like that. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but I thought I'd try it out. I don't know if the blue in that really matches real nice, but I'll leave it like that at first. Now some other things I could do. I could go to this red thing here and put a little drop shadow. I could go to layer style and go to drop shadow, and I would actually just want to have a drop shadow that goes straight down. So if I put this straight up to 90 degrees, I believe, if I can get 90 or just type in 90, it'll make it go straight down, and I'll take this so it goes down quite a bit. I don't want it to be real noticeable, so I'm going to turn down the opacity. And I don't even want it to go, so I'll even turn out the size a little bit, just a little bit. So I'll turn that down. And again, Jiffy, I could put a drop shadow, I could put a stroke. Like I did on one of them, I did a, I think I did an outer stroke and then a drop shadow. So I could try that. I'll go to layer style. I'll try both at the same time, and even a little bevel and emboss. I'll go to, well, I'll try bevel and emboss first. Here's a little bevel and emboss. I could turn down the depth a little bit. That has a nice kind of pop to it. Don't even need too much else other than that. Just that alone looks pretty nice. Although if I wanted to put a stroke on here, and I'm not sure how this, I may have to put that outer stroke like we did on the ultra clean. So let me go to layer style. I'll try out stroke, see what that looks like. I'll put a stroke on here. I'll increase the size of it, and I'll make it white. And it doesn't look like much, obviously because it's white. But what I'll do is put a drop shadow on here, and the drop shadow can actually go underneath the stroke, so it could do that kind of look, which isn't too bad. It's not a bad look. I'll increase this a little bit, make the shadow come out a little bit. So what that does, if I zoom into this, you can see I have a bevel and emboss, then I have a stroke on the outside, then I have a drop shadow underneath the stroke. So it really makes that pop, and it doesn't have to be real. It still has a subtle look because you almost don't see the stroke up here. So it's it's not a bad look. It gives a little pop to it. And again, if I had to move all this stuff up, I almost need to move this thing up a little bit. So I'll move it up just a little, nudge it down. And I don't necessarily need any effect on here, although I could put drop shadows on these things. I could highlight both of these and just put a drop shadow. If you have a hard time selecting them, you could select the layers. Shift click the layers when you do that. There's my all-purpose, and I'll select baking mix, and I'll just put, I don't know if it'll let me do, no, it won't let me do both of them. So I'll have to do the all-purpose first, and I'll zoom into it because I don't want a real harsh shadow on here. So I'll go to layer style, and maybe you want to use a stroke on here. Maybe you want to go like a stroke just to get it away from it and put a white stroke on here. That looks really harsh with the black, but I'll put a white stroke in here. Make sure it's on the outside. And I'll just put a couple pixels. I may even just put a color just to see what it looks like, not that color. And I'll turn it down maybe, 4 or 5 pixels. Maybe even less, and really turn this down because I don't want a whole lot, but I do want a little pop to it. So that looks okay. And then what I could do is I could copy on this effect that I have on here. I could right click and do a copy layer style, and then just go right to the baking mix and do right click and do a paste layer style. Get that same kind of effect on there, and it's kind of a nice look. It's not real, it's not jumping at you too much, and you could always turn some of these things down a little bit, but it's already got a nice look. I'm not sure about this gradient down here, but I'm off to a good start here. So I'm going to stop here, and I don't know if I have to do too much more. I might work on it and then just come back and update you a little bit, but this is a good start. Just from here, look at this. Compared to that, I mean, already it's a huge improvement. We just have to get some other stuff, whether we do compare and save down there or we add the starburst. I don't know if I threw the starburst back in. I guess you could. It doesn't look that bad. I might want to move these biscuits over a little bit. That the starburst would have to go on front of everything. So I'm not sure if that would work, but it covers up that gradient if the gradient doesn't look too good, or maybe I don't need a gradient. Maybe I could just put a little blue box down here and kind of mirror what I have up there. That might work too if I do this kind of compare and save down here above there. So that doesn't look too bad. It's a little large, so I may have to scale it down, but I think we're off to a good start here. So I'm going to stop here.